Remember this?
We got a flat tire. Ooh, that's bad.
That was from a few months back when I had the Rivian as a loaner. Looking back, it kind of amazes me how when we talk about EVs, we just highlight the 0 to 60 performance, the torque, the horsepower, and we never really stop to consider the one thing that actually translates that performance into an experience. And I'm talking about tires. Obviously, the tires are the main contact point between this technological marvel and the pavement. So without the tires, horsepower doesn't matter, and 0 to 60 times, well, they won't even happen. But more importantly, if you have bad tires, if your tires don't last as long or they make the ride harsher, noisier, then I don't see the point in owning an $80,000 electric SUV. So today's video is special, sponsored by Hankook. Now, I may not know a lot about tires, but I do know who Hankook is, since they make some of the best performance tires in the market today. They invited me to a private event so that I can talk about their new line of tires. And before you roll your eyes saying it's going to be a boring video, I promise you, this whole thing gave me a new appreciation for what I put on my vehicles. So let's start with the DynaPro HT2, which is more of a hybrid everyday tire for SUVs and light trucks. At the event, Hankook had me drive two very heavy electric pickups that are available today, the Rivian R1T and the Ford F-150 Lightning. These trucks weigh over 7,000 pounds each. That's a lot of mass to move and even more to stop. And when you're carrying that kind of weight, tires become way more important than you think. One of the things that stood out the most when I'm driving an EV is the fact that you hear pretty much everything because there's no internal combustion engine that is making that kind of white noise in the background. So everything that you hear would be road noise or the wind noise. And the tires make a difference because basically that's the one that makes contact with the road. I'm excited today because I've never really considered trying out a specific tire that minimizes that road noise. Usually for tires, there's a trade-off. If you want better performance, compound's different and it won't last as long. If you want a tire that lasts longer, the compound's going to be a little bit harder, thus making it a little bit noisier on the road. So I feel like what Hankook has done is find that happy medium. The DynaPro HT2 is a highway terrain tire designed for year-round comfort. It's rated for up to 70,000 miles, built to stay quiet, and engineered to handle load and wear over time. One of the biggest reasons they last longer is the square tread profile. And what that means is that the contact patch, the part of the tire that touches the road, is spread more evenly. This slows down wear and helps support heavy vehicles more efficiently. But not only that, Hankook also improved the siping. So let me explain sipes for a bit. Sipes are those tiny slits that you see in the tread blocks. They help the rubber flex and grip slippery surfaces like wet roads or snow. So naturally, the more sipes you have, the better the tire adapts to changing conditions. And the HT2 has more sipes than its predecessor, the DynaPro HT. And if you combine that with a redesigned tread pattern and a compound that grips without feeling overly stiff, then you've got a tire that not only supports the weight and performance of an EV truck, but it makes the ride quieter and a lot more comfortable. Compared to the stock tires on most Rivians and Lightnings, these DynaPros offer noticeably less noise and a more composed ride, especially on uneven pavement. Okay, so we're back in the Rivian. The first one that I drove was an R1S, which was the SUV. So this is the R1T, which is a pickup truck. It's much smaller than I remember, and I think that's just because I just hopped out of the F-150 Lightning. I spent the day driving both the Rivian R1T and the F-150 Lightning. And from a ride perspective, I was pleasantly surprised by how quiet and composed they both felt. When I drove the Rivian R1S earlier this year, I remember thinking how quiet the cabin was, but the tire noise was still very noticeable. That wasn't the case here. Dynamically speaking, the R1T handled corners like I expected it to. But the Lightning, now that was a surprise. It felt composed through the curves. I was waiting for the tires to start protesting as I drove somewhat spiritedly along canyon roads, but they didn't. They were quiet and they had grip. Way more grip than I'd expect from a truck this size. This being my first time driving the F-150 Lightning, I'm also kind of surprised at how well insulated this cabin actually is. Driving up this mountain road, my takeaway from my experience driving the F-150 Lightning with the DynaPro HT2 is that I was really surprised at how incredibly quiet they were. Very grippy. We were going around corners like quite fast. I easily forgot that I was driving a humongous truck.
Okay, so just to give you a little bit of perspective, after driving the F-150 Lightning, the Rivian R1T felt more like a Golf GTI in size. That's how massive the Lightning is. And yet the DynaPro HT2s handled it with ease. Tons of grip, quiet ride, and composure that I honestly didn't expect from a truck this big. That's me riding shotgun with a professional driver in a 480 horsepower Mustang Mach-E at Electrify Expo, which is North America's biggest EV-focused event. And there, I got a whole different perspective on EV tires. Hankook was one of the main sponsors, and they had a full showcase of their brand new Ion tire series. This is the world's first complete line of EV-specific tires. So no, they're not just adapted gas car tires, but purpose-built from the ground up for electric vehicles. You see, the Ion tires are designed for EVs that need more than just durability. So we're talking about performance EVs with instant torque, added weight, and expectations for a quiet ride. Because let's face it, EVs are changing fast, but what most people don't realize is that the tires have evolved too. And that makes a bigger difference than you think. These tires use a special low rolling resistance compound to help extend battery range. They're reinforced to handle the extra torque EVs put down, and they're engineered to reduce cabin noise, which is a huge deal in a car with no engine sound. Plus, they come in all season, all weather, and performance variants, so you're not locked into just one type of tire. That flexibility makes the Ion lineup genuinely unique. But the biggest surprise for me is that Hankook is partnering with OEMs like Lucid, supplying Ion tires for their upcoming Gravity SUV, which I'm hoping that I can drive one of these days. Anyway, I just think that when brands like that choose a tire as their factory option, it's worth paying attention to. The entire event was actually fun. My wife enjoyed it, and the kids, well, they were going to complain about everything, but regardless, they still had a good time. It really surprised me because I didn't expect to leave a tire event thinking about tread patterns and compound stiffness. But when you consider the weight, the tech, and the performance packed into EVs today, it just makes total sense to think differently about tires. Let me put it this way. It's like wearing running shoes on ice. No matter how athletic you are, without grip, you're not going anywhere fast. Or even worse, you end up with your face flat on the ground.
Thanks for watching. I hope this video gave you something to think about the next time you consider your tires. Big thanks to Hankook for the opportunity, and I'll see you again on the next video.